guys. So I am very excited to talk today about how we actually choose the experiences of our life based on the subconscious. So I talked a lot yesterday about sort of the fact that not that idea of non-locality, right? That scientists were completely blown away that if if anything, when they were measuring things, if anything impacted particles that they were measuring, they realized that particles very far away were instantly reacting to what was being done to the particles that they were testing, right? So, long day, so I'm looking a little. So, what we're talking about today, we're going to build on that. So, we've talked so far about the fact that our particle detectors are instantly tuning us into or causing the waveform that is actually reality to collapse into that which we experience as human beings, that which we experience as solid, that which we experience as experiences in life, right? So we've talked about that. We've talked about the fact that actually the reality is that all of life is actually this flowing, waving oneness. It's just all frequency underneath. It's all completely this sort of big giant ocean of potential that Bohm called quantum potential. And so then we combined it a little bit. I touched on a little bit yesterday. At least I've combined it with some of Jung's theories about archetypes. And those archetypes are basically sort of sets of emotions and experiences that are that essentially every person from every culture would understand. We all have access to all of them. Okay, so now, and we talked a little bit about the fact that if you think about all of this a bit like a TV, like the signal, the signal all around us, which of course we can't see, the frequencies all around us we can't see, coming into our TV, and then being able to select different shows. That's very similar to how we are selecting the experiences of our life. Okay, so if we look at sort of Bohm's and Jung's theories together, a larger picture comes together of how each of us creates our lives. Okay, so each person's perceptions and expectations, many of which are unconscious, are sort of pulling up these matching waves of reality out of this flowing oneness that is quantum potential. Okay, so each experience in life we can think of like a flowing, what I call like a wave archetype. Okay, so that wave archetype is a specific frequency that's matching your expectations. So again, a lot like the remote control, if you have expectations that are set for a certain thing, you're going to pull up a set of experiences. It's like tuning into a certain channel that only deals with certain kinds of experiences. And you may say you want other experiences, but if you're sort of preset with that frequency that's going to keep tuning you into it, you're going to keep having those experiences. That's how we end up having repeat patterns again and again and again, even when we say we don't want to. Even when we consciously say, that's it, I'm never having this, I'm never doing this again, I'm never being in this situation again, and then bing, we end up tuning into another program exactly like the one we just watched, right? So when you identify and understand the wave archetypes that you're dealing with, the frequency that your remote control is tuning into, at that point you can actually choose to send those back into essentially the deeper reality, back into quantum potential, and start to change what you're tuning into. So you may not be able to obviously see or experience the collective unconscious or quantum potential, but it doesn't matter because you're connected to it and you're actually part of it. Even as you sit there, as I sit here, as we are connected through video, we are also literally part of quantum potential. We are part of it right now. We are connected to all of it now. Okay, you are so now how do we use this information? So this is all cool. It's all interesting science, hopefully very interesting science. Hopefully, again, I give you all of the science parts of it, partly because this is the basis for the flow method and why it works. And I want people to understand it, because when you understand it better, then you're more likely to instantly accept it and be able to use it to improve your life, to manifest your dream life, right? So, so how do we though now start to apply this? Number one means you can choose any experience that you really want in your life. So, since you are already one with all that is quantum potential, with the wave frequency for literally every experience in the entire universe, you are already connected to the waves, to the frequency, to the wave archetypes of anything you desire. Okay, you can basically choose to tune into specific experiences by fine-tuning your expectations. Again, think of the remote control, and your expectations are essentially fine-tuning. You're choosing out of the millions of different stations you can tune into. Your expectations are what is actually using that and then bringing those waves into form around you. Okay, so you can think of quantum potential itself like the most powerful TV signal. It contains all the wave information to see any experience of life that you choose at literally any moment. The other aspect is we all have like storage, right, on our TVs or on our computers. And this is a TV signal that has like the most enormous storage capacity because it has to be able to store all this wave information for basically easy retrieval. Okay, so it needs to be able to create sort of an infinite amount of experiences in the past, in the present, and the future. And of course, we all probably have heard the saying, or the truth really, that time is relative, and we'll talk about time is relative a little bit later. But so then the question became, because it has to be able to keep all of this wave information across the board, massive amounts of information. We all know my computer right now is like at max capacity. I've stored way too many videos and probably pictures of my cute little girl. We all know storage is a premium, right? So how would quantum potential be able to keep all of this wave information, right? It would basically take the most immense computer in the entire universe to be able to hold all that wave information, have it accessible, and instantly be able to pull it up. Here's where it gets a little crazier. So a lot of physicists were theorizing about this, trying to figure this out, and it turns out that quantum potential is a hologram containing everything in the entire universe, and by shining your personal light on it, you choose the experiences of your life. Now, I know this sounds abstract. I know it sounds like out there and what the heck is she talking about? Bear with me. I'm going to bring it back into our 3D world here in just a second. So if anybody has ever looked into holographic film or how the process of creating a hologram is, it's actually really fascinating. They're obviously vastly different than normal camera film. So with normal camera film, which again, we have our iPhones now. So those of you that are old enough to remember normal camera film, when you take a picture and then you have the negative of it, you could actually hold the negative up and actually see basically the reverse, the negative of whatever picture you took, right? Now, you can take that negative, put it into a slide in, let's say, a projector. Again, for those of you that are old enough to remember such things, you could shine light through it and basically project an image of that moment in time, out on a wall or screen or something like that. It would be a two-dimensional image, so it's not the complete image, but it's a two-dimensional image. Now, with holographic film, it's very different. So if a holographic picture was taken of us, of you, let's say, when you look at the negative or the film, you would actually see nothing but a bunch of concentric rings. Now, we talked about sort of wave patterns before, and the classic wave pattern from that dual light experiment is concentric rings. Boom, boom, boom. And we've seen those, like when somebody, you drop a pebble in water and you get those concentric rings. That's all you would see on holographic film. So you would not see the image of you at all. But the wave information to create a perfect, completely real in every way 3D image of you is contained in that wave information. Okay, so it's essentially the energetic signature of you is on that film. Okay, so when you interact with the holographic film in the correct way, you'd actually be able to see a full 3D image of you, completely as you are, every possible little pore and wrinkle and everything else. It would be perfectly you, okay? So the cool thing is about this, let's say you would then pop it up and you could actually walk completely around your image and you'd be able to see yourself as if you were actually standing there. So the main thing I want you to remember is that there would be an energetic signature of you. It would look like nothing other than concentric rings, like a wave pattern. But if you interact with it in the right way, bam, here would be the 3D image of you. So, so basically, to kind of give you a real life example, if you had the ability to sort of stick your head into your television and actually see the waves and information that are producing the TV shows, they don't look like a TV show, right? They just look like waves, right? Because you don't have the correct tool to be able to decipher that information. The TV is the tool that will decipher the wave information into what you see, the programs you watch, whatever you like to watch. My favorite all-time show at this point is something called Schitt's Creek. So hopefully if anybody else watches that, I could watch that hundreds of times over. My favorite show ever. So it wouldn't look like anything, right? You would just stick your head in, you go, what the heck is this? It's a bunch of wave information, and there would be nothing you could see. However, if you turn on the TV knows how to decipher that information into something you recognize as shows you enjoy, things you want to watch, right? Now, I want you to imagine your brain and your body are the television. So you can't see the waves that are composing the things you're experiencing in your life. You can't see quantum potential, right? It's like if you could stick your head down into quantum potential, all you would see were waves. But your brain and your body is the tool that is translating those waves into the life you experience around you, okay? So everything is wave, but you're experiencing it as solid, there goes a scooter, as solid due to your brain's perspective. You are sort of the light shining through the hologram of life to produce that which you are experiencing, okay? I know this is wild. So now let's just take it one step further, because this is where we get into how there is more than enough for all of us at all times, no matter what any of us want as far as what we want to manifest in our lives, okay? So what if you could take essentially a holographic picture of quantum potential? So if you think about that, it would have the wave information of every possible experience in the entire universe, past, present, and future. Now, on that film, you would have the wave information necessary to be able to produce any experience, any person, anything you can imagine, just by interacting with the hologram in the right way, basically shining the light at the right angle that matched that wave, that energetic signature of whatever it is you wanted to pull up. You would be able to pull that experience, that thing, that person up in full 3D reality, okay? Now, of course, if you looked at the actual negative of this holographic picture of quantum potential, you wouldn't see anything. You'd see a bunch of concentric circles and wave patterns, and that would be it. But again, if you shined your light in the right way through the part you were looking for, bam, this experience would pop up in reality, okay? So this is super cool. So amazingly, this is exactly what scientists think is going on. So because everything's actually wave, each and everything in life has its own energetic signature. You do, I do, everything you interact with does. It's that unique frequency that's producing that particular thing, that particular person, that particular star, that building, whatever it is, out of all these waves of quantum potential that are popping up as our particle detectors are turned on and we're looking for certain things. So this means, and I know this is crazy, that you are a holographic image. You're waves of potential that are being formed and reformed all the time out of wave particles that are in alignment with what your expectations are at that moment in time. So you have a frequency that is only you. It's your individual wave archetype, which is the combination of the waves of all the particles that make up you, all your thoughts, all your feelings, all your emotions, all of that make up you. That means also everything in life is also a holographic image with its own frequency. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your friend, your spouse, your lover, whatever, all holographic with their own frequencies, okay? um, all of this is being played out and produced from the quantum potential, and it has the frequency, its own wave frequency that matches your desires, your conscious and subconscious, exactly. So when I talk about things like, and why I called it the flow method, that life is flowing, life is literally flowing. We are all in this waveform at all times. So, better yet, this is where we get to the coolest part of why life is infinitely abundant, and you don't have to believe in any limitation whatsoever. So we've talked about the fact that the particles that make up you have already been there, done that. They've been people and things and other things in the world, whatever you can imagine, you've been there, done that, okay? So I remember the first time that I heard somebody say life is infinitely abundant, and I can be honest, like I thought the person was full of it. And you see a lot of people, a lot of gurus out there, and they're talking about that, right? But they don't give you anything behind it. They say that, but most of us deal with limitations. So it's like, well, how can that be? How can there be more than enough for everybody? It was at that point in time, and for many of you, it may be difficult to believe that there's like no limit to what you can have, that you could create your life exactly how you want it, and someone else could do so, and there was still more for everybody else. Especially because every day we see people who don't have enough, and that is very difficult to rectify, right? So here's the deal. I'm actually going to tell you life is infinitely abundant, but I'm going to give you the science behind it so you can understand, and you can understand why maybe we have experiences of lack even when it is infinitely abundant. Here's the deal. So it kind of, if we go back to the holographic film, if you take a picture, let me say we took a holographic picture of you, okay? And again, on that holographic picture, there would just be waves. We wouldn't be able to see anything, but it would be your energetic signature. Now, on a normal piece of camera film, if there was a picture of you and we cut it in half, we'd have half a picture here and half a picture there. We wouldn't have a whole picture. Holographic film is different. So if I took a picture of you on holographic film and I cut it in half, here's the crazy thing. On both pictures, we would have the full energetic information to have the full image of you. All the wave information you need would be on both pieces. If I cut it into 4 pieces, there would be 4 of you. If I cut it into 100 pieces, there'd be 100 of you. 1,000, there'd be 1,000 of you. No matter how small you cut that film, each and every piece of holographic film would contain all of the information to produce a complete image of you, okay? So now let's imagine we did the same exact thing with the holographic film that took the picture of the entirety of quantum potential, so that all the wave information for every possible experience of life, anything you could possibly imagine, whether it's money or people or things you want to do or travel, all that wave information is on this big piece of film that is a holographic picture with all that wave information, right? If we cut it billions of times so that each and every one of us had a piece of that holographic film, then can you think what I'm about to say? That would mean each and every one of us would have the entirety, all the wave information of quantum potential inside us, connected to us. We would be literally holding quantum potential and any possible experience of life we have all the wave information necessary to pull up any experience at any time inside you. And because it's infinite wave information, every single person could pull up any experience as much as they wanted of anything they desired, and there would still be infinite amounts available to everyone else, because everyone else would still have their own piece of quantum potential. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's crazy. I know this sounds like a dream world, but this is reality. In fact, physicists now believe that essentially our minds are kind of a piece of the quantum potential hologram, that each of us has literally infinite wave information inside us to be able to access any experience of life, and we're never taking away from anything else. You having a fully abundant life isn't taking from me, because I have the same ability to access the same wave information, and it's constantly expanding. It's constantly there. It's always there. We all have that same experience, that ability. Basically, it's called essentially the holographic mind is the theory. It's established science at this point. So essentially, your piece of quantum potential resides, as much as it can possibly reside, in your mind. When you shine your light, a particular energetic wavelength, through the quantum potential, at your piece of quantum potential at exactly the right frequency and angle and so forth, then experiences of life, you access experiences of life. It's how you pull up the same kinds of experiences over and over again, the ones that match in frequency over and over again, or when you change that, you change those underlying expectations at a deep level. Now, that expectation no longer shines through the hologram at that frequency, because it can't. It doesn't match anymore. Okay? So when you change your expectation to something that actually matches and aligns with that which you desire, you access your portion of the quantum potential in a way that shifts everything. Okay? Your thoughts are wavelengths, your actions are wavelengths, your subconscious beliefs are wavelengths, the things you say to yourself are wavelengths. All of those. If you can imagine, again, we talked about the particle detector. Essentially, let's just call this an experience detector, a wave detector. Each time that you think or act or speak in any way, you are literally sending signals into your little piece of the quantum potential to tell your inner self what you want to experience. What do you want to pull up? Again, think of your expectations, your thoughts, your words, your subconscious beliefs as your remote control, and your mind is tuning you in and out of matching experiences as you move. All right, so I have been going for a bit now, 22 minutes. Okay. Hopefully this makes a ton of sense. So I basically want you to start working on the idea of that your mind is a remote control. It tunes you in and out of experiences as your thoughts and beliefs change. This is such an important concept to get, so that when we get to working on the specifics in whatever stations of life you sort of have out of the flow beliefs, you can see why you keep tuning into certain patterns of experiences in certain areas of your mind, body, and life. And you can understand that by reprogramming that button that's tuning you into that, you must shift everything. There's literally, scientifically, there's no other way to go. If you shift a belief, you pull up something different, because it doesn't match that energetic signature anymore. Okay? So if you think about it, let's say you have an underlying belief that life is hard. Are you going to pull up experiences where life is easy? Does that match? Is that going to pull up the same kind of energetic information? It's not. It just inherently can't. But if we reprogram, there goes a little pigeon. If we reprogram our beliefs to, instead of life is hard, we work and we get to the core and we figure out and that's what we're doing once we get into the flow factor stuff. We get to the core of why you have that belief, and we shift that belief to life is easy. I live a charmed life. Everything works out for me. Can you keep pulling up experiences where life is hard? You can't. You can't, because it doesn't match anymore. It's a different button on your remote control. It literally, you cannot match. It does not match. You cannot pull it up. This is also why affirmations don't always work for people. This is why other programs you've tried might not have worked for you. Because if you don't get to the root that is matching you to frequencies of experiences that you don't want, then you literally will not be able to change it. It's impossible. So what we're doing in this program with the flow factor test, and I know many of you have taken the flow factor test. If you haven't, please make sure that you do, because we're heading right into that very soon. And that's where we're going to be able to really fine tune and make sure that the wavelength of unconscious beliefs that you have are ones that match with what you want to pull up from the quantum potential. Okay, that's going to be today's lesson. We're going to keep on trucking, and we're going to be moving into how do we personalize this for you, and how do we be able to make sure that we do have these things programmed in a way that you, as I say, pull up the experiences you want and are able to allow any experiences that you don't want just to flow back in to the waving oneness away from you. Okay? I think I almost ended our thing. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, I know this is a lot. Rachel had a really great question yesterday, and I think I might do a quick recording and just speak to that at some point, because it's such a good question about and actually maybe today, Rachel, maybe some of this may have answered it as well. Like, how can you have a certain set of desires that you want to manifest, and someone else can have a different one, and maybe like if those two things, how that all works. We'll go with that. All right. I want to thank you guys for being here. I hope this was super helpful. I hope you find it as cool as I do. I just want you to start thinking about the fact that you literally you have a programming now going on that's the remote control that's shifting you. You can start, even before we get into the flow and we start working on those individual beliefs, go ahead and start working on expecting what you really want to have come into life, okay, into your life, so that you're changing. Imagine you're changing those remote controls. Little pigeons hanging out back there. Those remote controls, okay? All right, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Bye, everybody.